is a simple moral test. MPs who today vote against a ceasefire and for a humanitarian pause are giving this message to the Palestinian people, that we believe that there should be a temporary halt to the bombing to get you food and medical supplies so that you can be fed, so that you can be treated, and then Israel can again begin to bomb your hospitals and bury you and your families under the rubble of your own homes. Shame upon them. On October the 15th, 800 scholars of war crimes and genocide studies said that what was unfolding before us was a genocide. They said this because of the preconditions of 17 years of blockade that had made Gaza almost unfit for human habitation. They said it because of the scale of the killing that Israel had unleashed. One Palestinian killed every 4 minutes. One Palestinian child killed every 10 minutes. And they said it because of the genocidal rhetoric of Israeli ministers, including the Israeli minister who is still in post, who has called for a nuclear bomb to be dropped on Gaza, and the Israeli minister who has said that every Palestinian in Gaza should be expelled to Egypt. To vote against a ceasefire is to vote to say that genocide can continue. Now, we know that MPs will not vote in a majority tonight for a ceasefire, but it matters. It matters that many of them will, and we have to keep the pressure on them. In the past 2 weeks, more than 350,000 of you have emailed your MPs. Last week, 800,000 of us marched in the streets of London, and on Saturday, there is a day of action across the country with more than 150 protests scheduled to happen in every town and city across the UK. And soon we will tell you when. We need you marching again in London. We do it for Wafa. We do it for Ahmed. We do it for Ehab. We do it for every Palestinian facing slaughter. They are again facing a dark moment in their struggle for liberation. They are again burying their fathers and mothers, their brothers and sisters, their sons and daughters. They need us to stand with them. They need us never to stop marching, never to stop protesting, never to stop boycotting until a ceasefire is called, until the occupation is ended, until apartheid is dismantled, until the day when we stand shoulder to shoulder with them, when the sun rises over a free Jerusalem, over a free Jaffa, and over a free Gaza. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Thank you.
Our next speaker is another British Palestinian speaking on behalf of Palestinian families here and the British Palestinian community in Britain. And on behalf of the Palestinian Forum in Britain, please welcome Maysara Ibrahim.
Thank you very much. Good evening, dear ladies and gentlemen. Standing here together today undoubtedly send a message of outrage, disgust and objection to continuing green-lighting the genocide and mass murder of the innocent people of Gaza, which is being committed openly and live streamed before the very eyes of our government, our political parties, the United Nations and other governments around the world. Israel has crossed all red lines, blatantly violated and disregarded all conventions and laws of wars, human rights, hospitals, civilians, wounded people, and civilians in structure. Yet our government is supplying Israel with sophisticated weapons to cause more destruction and to wreak more havoc on Gaza and its people. We come here together to make it crystal clear for our government and our politicians that voting no ceasefire is a call for more children to be murdered. Voting no ceasefire is a call for more homes to be bombed on the heads of its residents. Voting no ceasefire is a call for more massacres against civilians. Voting no ceasefire is a call for more destruction of civilian infrastructure, more destruction of hospitals, schools, mosques, churches, shopping centres, water tanks, bakeries, communication towers. Voting no ceasefire is a call for more genocide, more pain, more grief, more suffering, more starvation and more bloodshed. How many babies should Israel murder through those in Downing Street, convinced that it's the time for a ceasefire? How many families should Israel wipe out from the face of this earth so our government and our parliament would call for a ceasefire? How many grieving families should cry over the charred and dismembered members of their families, their loved ones, so our government would call for a ceasefire? Ladies and gentlemen, Israel has converted Gaza from the largest concentration camp ever known in our modern day history into the largest open execution camp and weapons testing field. The testing weapons for our families and our loved ones. The situation in Gaza cannot wait for a second, let alone an hour. Every 10 minutes pass, there is a child murdered by Israel. There is a family bereaved by the loss of loved ones. And there is a home reduced to rubble on the heads of the family. Just an hour ago, I received the devastating news of the death of my beloved cousin, Nail Muhammad Ibrahim. He was in his way back home. And I barely made it here from the pain that we received. He went out to collect and look for food and water. He's been killed just meters away from his home in front of his family. Please, we demand a ceasefire. His blood will not go in vain. So ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire. Our next speaker is a member of the House of Lords for the Green Party, who have been strong in their position for an immediate ceasefire since this latest iteration of genocide began. Please give it up for Natalie Bennett. Thank you, and thank you everyone for being here this evening with a message, a simple message: ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Now, the Green Party has been saying this for weeks. I'm here to speak for the Green Party of England and Wales, but the Scottish Green Party has also been saying ceasefire now, and I'm going to quote the Green Party of Northern Ireland. We must be relentless in our pursuit of peace, and that peace means a ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Now, I've got one very simple point that I want to make. I'm afraid that the Labour Party has written to 40 academics in international law saying that the position should be in line with global allies, namely the United States of America and the European Union. Well, I think we've got a message very clearly for the MPs there in the chamber tonight, that we are responsible for Britain's position. It is Britain's responsibility to stand up against smashing of international law, against collective punishment, and for the human rights of the people in Gaza, and for the return of the Israeli hostages.
We want human rights for everybody, and that should be UK's position. And I've got one more thing to say, which is that we've already seen the American position talking a bit more about humanitarian causes, a bit more about this might be getting a bit much. Well, what we need is a ceasefire now. Eventually the Americans will force the Israelis to stop. But in the meantime, every person who dies in Gaza is dying absolutely unnecessarily, because if we had a ceasefire now, they would not die. So ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Our next speaker is representing one of the organisations that has been with the Palestinians from the start. Please welcome Chris Lynham from the Stop the War Coalition.
I want to start by congratulating you all. Last Saturday's demonstration was one of the biggest mobilisations in British history, and don't anyone ever tell you again that mass movements don't make a difference. This historic protest saw off the ban, toppled the Home Secretary, humiliated the fascist thugs, caused a split in the Tory party, and deepened the split in the Labour Party. It led to a situation where for the first time we have a vote in Parliament on a ceasefire. None of this would have happened without a united, disciplined, defiant movement that would not be intimidated. So respect to you all. This is a good step forward that there is a vote in Parliament tonight. This is the first crack in the pro-Israeli facade. But I have a message to all the MPs in Parliament tonight, and that message is, we are watching you and we will remember. Despite all the horror, despite all this, despite the fact that opinion is turning, the horror continues in Gaza, and our political leaders continue to avoid doing what is necessary, the necessary step, the simple step of calling for a ceasefire. And we have to say, why is this? It's not just cowardice. It's not a lack of understanding of the situation. It is a product of the fact that our rulers support Israel. They support Israel diplomatically, politically, and militarily. And that is why we are sending out a message tonight that we are going to stay in the streets, not just until there is a ceasefire, but until our government has broken with Israel, until our government is prepared to call for justice, until our government is prepared to call for peace. We have local protests this weekend. There will be another national demonstration. I am very pleased to say that just today there were workplace rallies and workplace walkouts in various places across the country. And this Friday there will be school student strikes taking place up and down the country as well. We are going nowhere. We are staying in the streets. We are going to continue this campaign, not just until there is a ceasefire, but until every last Palestinian is living in their homeland, until there is peace and freedom at last for the Palestinians. Thank you very much.
We know there's ceasefire is the bare minimum to protect lives, to protect land, to protect hospitals, schools, religious sites, to protect an entire population. And we need them to know that the majority of this country wants a ceasefire. And we need them to know that we're going to remember how they vote tonight. But not only are we going to remember tonight, we're going to remember tomorrow. And we're going to remember at the next general election. So when I say, if you won't keep Gaza protected, you're going to say you're not getting re-elected. If you won't keep Gaza protected, you're not getting re-elected. If you won't keep Gaza protected, you're not getting re-elected. If you won't keep Gaza protected, you're not getting re-elected. Ceasefire now! 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 Let the MPs in Parliament hear you say, what do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! And when do we want it? Now! Ceasefire 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 now! Ceasefire. Our next speaker yesterday launched Labour for a ceasefire. He's a member of the Labour Party's National Executive Council. Please welcome Ms. Rahman.
How many of us have seen something in our social media feeds over the last month that we are never going to forget? Images of innocent people dying while Sunak and Biden refuse to act. And Keir Starmer continues to back them. This has to change. We will not forgive them. History will not forgive them. Their complicity and hypocrisy is breathtaking and there for all to see. Now, Keir Starmer and his shadow cabinet know what a war crime is when it's committed against Ukraine by Russia, and rightly so. But when asked about Israeli war crimes, Starmer and his shadow cabinet members, not content with previously seemingly being fined with collective punishment, a siege, the cutting of power, water, food, now say it's not for politicians to provide a commentary. And that they are specialists in what's a war crime and what isn't. Well, I ain't no specialist either, but I know enough to see that we are witnessing a genocide in real time. More people killed in the last month in Gaza than recorded killed in the 1995 Srebrenica genocide. And I ain't no specialist either, but I know that we are seeing war crimes supported by Britain and the US and uncritical by the Labour leadership. I ain't no specialist, but I also know that while Palestine is abandoned by governments, that we the people are the ones that Palestinians are relying on. And rest assured, until we get a ceasefire, until the killing stops, until we get peace, we will continue to rally. We will continue to march. And our rallies and our marches will get bigger and bigger, and their authority will become smaller and smaller. Every second we delay a ceasefire, more innocent lives are lost. So what MPs need to do today is vote. Vote to stop the killing of innocent people. Vote for the sake of humanity, and vote for a ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now! 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 Ceasefire now!
Our next speaker is the MP for Poplar and Limehouse. She has always stood strongly on the side of the Palestinian people, and once she's spoken to us today, she's going to go inside and she's going to vote in favour of a ceasefire now. Please make some noise from Nora Begum. We have been coming together for weeks now for vigils and protests across the country. Today I am co-sponsoring a parliamentary amendment to the King's Speech alongside the wonderful Zara Sultana MP. Calling for a ceasefire. Now is the time to step up and be counted. There is no doubt that history will judge those who looked away and those that gave the green light to war crimes. I will never ever forget the disregard for Palestinian life and the complicity in crimes against humanity that we have been witnessing in real time. It is horrifying. It is horrifying, and it chills me to the bones. And all because of US and UK foreign policy interests. It is at times like this that we look to the wisdom of those that have inspired us in the past, like the great Martin Luther King Jr., who in 1968, he said, on some positions, cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but he must take it because conscience tells him it is right. And so in the name of humanity, I will be voting for a ceasefire tonight. Not because it is safe or politic, but because my conscience knows it is right. All lives should be valued and cherished. That it must include Palestinian lives. They're just as important as everyone else's. I refuse to accept the abandonment and isolation of the people of Gaza by the governments and mainstream Western media and political discourse. I refuse to accept any logic that seeks to justify the targeting and killing of innocent civilians and children. Never mind on the scale that we have seen in Gaza. I refuse to be silenced or for speaking up against mass atrocities by those complicit in supporting mass atrocities. And despite the censorship and despite the smears that we've all been facing, our movement is growing. The calls for an immediate ceasefire are now backed by multiple United Nations agencies, nearly 700 NGOs globally, more than 250 British lawyers, including
British lawyers and 76% of the British public. We know that our struggle for freedom are connected with the struggles for freedom all around the world. And growing up in Shadwell in East London taught me that, as did the anti-war movement in 2003 when I was a teenager. I am so proud to represent the constituency that has continuously stood together for people oppressed all around the world and taken a stand time and time again to stand up for what's right. Because as we come again together, diverse, multicultural, multi-faith, of all faiths and none, we understand that we need a lasting peace based on justice and human rights, an end to the siege of Gaza, an end to the occupation, because, and I know I will continue to say it because it continues to be true, none of us are free until all oppressed people around the world are free. Solidarity! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
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 Friends, there are so many of you protesting this evening that the crowds are stretching back right into Parliament Square. And so some of those people can join us here and hear the speeches. If you can, there's space over there. Please try and move round so that more people can come and join us in this space. So please, friends, if you can move around to enable more people to come forward and hear the speeches, please do so. Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Please welcome our next speaker, representing Friends of Al-Aqsa. A big hand for Shamil Jorda.
Let our demands echo into the chambers. Ceasefire, 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 everyone, ceasefire, 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 this is our demand, ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. Our demand is clear. We demand an immediate ceasefire! Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
But how sad it is that we must demand, that we must work so hard to demand the basic humanity for life not to be killed. We must not only demand a ceasefire, we must demand an end to the siege of Gaza. We must demand a free Palestine. Free
Palestine!
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 And we must all remember, we must all have memories like an elephant. So come next general election, if they have not voted for a ceasefire, they do not get our vote. It's as simple as that. It is simple as that. No ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire, no vote. Let the MPs listen. Let them hear. The people have spoken. No ceasefire! No ceasefire! Let's take this. Let's keep going. Let's keep mobilized until we see a free Palestine.
Ceasefire now!
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 you possibly can. When I say no ceasefire, you say no ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! Our next speaker has always stood shoulder to shoulder with the people of Palestine and the people, and oppressed people the world over. He fought apartheid in its first iteration in South Africa. He's fighting apartheid in its second iteration in Palestine. Please give a very, very warm welcome to the People's Prime Minister, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, every single one of you that's come here tonight. Thank you, every one of you that's filling up all the way from Parliament Square right down to Millbank. Thank you, all those that are around the statues here. Thank you, all of you, for standing up for people's rights, for democracy, and trying to encourage your MPs to do the right thing this evening at 7 o'clock. As ever, the whole place is full of rumours at the moment about what's going to be voted on, when and in which order, and so on. So far as I'm concerned, I'm absolutely clear what I'm voting for. I am voting for the only motion that's going to be put to a vote that says cease fire now. Ceasefire now. Anything less than a ceasefire now merely allows the conflict to go on, allows the pain to go on, allows the bombing to go on, allows the killing to go on, and leads to more deaths of more children, more destruction of more hospitals, more schools, and people's very existence. What we've done over the last month is mobilise tens of thousands of people who've never been on the streets before, never been on a demonstration before, and they're there because they cannot bear to watch on their television innocent people being destroyed, unarmed, defenseless people being destroyed by F-16 jets imported from the USA, which are killing so many people. This issue is, yes, about Gaza at the moment, but also, if I may say so, behind that is, of course, the occupation of the West Bank, is the settlement policy, is the refugees, the Palestinian refugees in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Syria, and in other places. In my view, the worldwide campaign for the Palestinian people, is a turning point in the whole history, and we will see the freedom for the people of Palestine. We will see the end of that occupation, and we will see justice for the Palestinian people. I just finish on this because everyone's got to be very brief tonight. Just finish on this. Look around you in this square today. Look around all the people that are with you. What are we? Young, old, men, women, black, white, straight, gay, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist. We are the presence of an anti-racist campaign in this country which will not tolerate Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, or any other form of racism. Racism divides. Our political demands unite. Justice unites us. Wars divide us. We're here to end war. We're here to get justice for the Palestinian people. And my message to the MPs over there, make all the calculations you will about your advancement this way, that way, by whatever calculations you have tonight. But history will judge you for not calling for a ceasefire. History will judge you for failing to call for a ceasefire when you had the opportunity to do it. I know what I'm going to be doing tonight. The other MPs, in my estimation, need to do the same. Thank you very much. Solidarity. Keep on fighting. Keep on marching. Keep on meeting.
Ceasefire now! 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 And let them know that we'll remember this at the ballot box. No ceasefire, no vote. 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 Our next speaker, representing the Muslim Association of Britain, is ringing out to treaty.
Brothers, sisters, friends, assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. Over 11,000 Palestinians have been killed. That's over 1,000 families completely wiped off the civil registry. As we speak, over 27,000 people are injured with no access to medical supplies or aid. As we speak, the number of those under the rubble is yet to be known. As we speak, the Israeli occupation forces have stormed Al-Shifa hospital. Tanks and soldiers are opening fire towards doctors, refugees and patients. The invasion of Shifa hospital reminds me of the invasion of my country, Iraq. The lie used then was weapons of mass destruction, a lie that cost the death of 1 million Iraqi. The lie they are using for the invasion of Shifa hospital is being a base of terrorists. Let us learn from history and not allow those baseless lies and claims to cause the death and destruction of the thousands of innocent civilians. And yet, as we speak, politicians are still deciding whether Palestinians are deserving of a ceasefire. Instead, they speak of a humanitarian pause. There is nothing humanitarian about a pause in which your two options are to either leave your home or die. Let us be clear. Every single second of delay is blood on their hands. The children killed in Gaza today could have been saved by a ceasefire agreed yesterday. It is unfathomable that we are having to explain that attacking a hospital is a war crime, that collective punishment is a war crime. Our men, women and children deserve to live too, to dream, to laugh. Let me make it absolutely clear. We will not forget, we will not forgive those who think they can take our votes for granted whilst dehumanizing us each and every single day, saying that international law doesn't apply to us, that those are defending the settler colonial regime that has massacred over 5,000 children in a month. Those that parrot their propaganda in an attempt to justify their genocide. We will not forget, and we will make sure those up and down the country do not forget your hypocrisy when it comes to the next